all of its glories.
One wife, 3 daughters.
What is it about hanging bras in the bathroom like Christmas ornaments?
Tim Allen is the last man standing.
7 days a week at 6:30 on the Ozarks CW.
KY3 News on the Ozarks CW starts now.
We're taking a live look now at Kansas City, where snow's starting to fall in some spots. Up to 5 inches of snow possible before it's over there, and then the snow and rain is expected to spread south. Even some of our far north counties could see some of those snowflakes.
Oh boy, I don't know what we did to deserve this. The rest of us could see some freezing drizzle. So let's begin tonight with Chief Meteorologist Ron Hurst in the First Alert Center with our first forecast.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We have issued a first alert day for Wednesday evening for our northern counties here in the Ozarks for the potential of very small amounts of freezing drizzle or some very light snow. The threat level here is getting up moderate range, so enough that folks who live in our northern counties need to pay attention to the forecast. Let me show you where I'm thinking. Springfield's located right here in Greene County, so it's going to be north of here. This is Lake of the Ozarks, Truman Lake, Pomme de Terre, and Stockton Lake areas where we're about a little concerned that tomorrow night as the cold air comes in and we still have some moisture in the air, that we may get some minor amounts of freezing drizzle or some light snow. Now again, this is not a big deal. I wouldn't go traveling, or I wouldn't go canceling any travel plans or things like that. However, we want to caution folks that have to drive after dark in these areas to watch the bridges and overpasses, because as we know all too well here in the Ozarks, it just takes a little skiff of ice to create some travel issues. Now tonight we have quite a bit of rain across the area. You can see it's falling in moderate to heavy rain, mostly north of I-44, although we're starting to see this batch show up down here in northwestern Arkansas. Here's the time lapse through the evening. The rain has been developing and moving off to the northeast at a pretty good clip tonight, somewhere between 30 and 35 miles an hour, and I expect this trend to continue all night long. So Futurecast has picked up on that very nicely, giving areas to the north of the interstate a good dousing tonight. Tomorrow morning we'll still see some rain across the area, so a wet commute for many of you out there. And then through the day, the rain's going to taper off, but kind of like today where we had that persistent drizzle or mist, we're going to see that for a good portion of the day tomorrow. And then it's tomorrow evening at 5 o'clock. We start to get dark. Notice how we have an uptick in the moisture, and here comes the colder air starting to mix that over to maybe a little bit of ice and maybe a little bit of snow. Now, since it stays in these northern counties for such a long period of time, that's why we're worried about just some minor accumulations. And again, it is going to be on those elevated surfaces. I'll be back with a little more on this in a few minutes, guys.
All right, thanks, Ron. It's looking like a very cold Halloween is in store for trick-or-treaters and, of course, their parents.
Now, for those parents who would like their kids to dress up and get some candy, but they do not want them to freeze to death.
Or the parents don't want to freeze to death.
Well, there are indoor events on Halloween, and those are the events we sent Nikki Ogle to check out. Tell us about tonight. Nikki?
We're prepared with lots and lots of candy.
James River Church is expecting more than 20,000 people at its annual October 31st party. Pastor David Lindell says the free event will happen at all 4 campuses. Visitors can expect games, live performances, and pictures with princesses and superheroes.
It's all about pointing people to Jesus and helping people experience the love of Christ as we shine the light of Christ. And so that's why we exist as a church. That's why the event happened.
Cox Health will have its own trunk or treat in both Springfield and Branson.
Because it's all indoors. It's all in one place. You just kind of come in, get out of the elements, and get to have fun with your kids.
Caitlin McConnell with Cox Health says there will be more than 30 booths set up inside Cox Medical Center, Branson, and Springfield's Meyer Orthopedic and Rehabilitation Hospital. And this year, there will be a new element.
But we actually have a special window from 4 to 5 for children who have special mobility concerns.
Bass Pro Shops is celebrating the Great Pumpkin all week leading up to the big day.
On Halloween, kids can get a free picture taken with the Peanuts gang. Then they can trick or treat around the store.
And this store is kind of like candy for them anyways.
Assistant General Manager Pete Ducrot says Bass Pro has tripled its sweet supply, expecting more visitors who are dreading the cold.
If it's nasty outside, no one really enjoys going house to house. When you can be in a nice warm environment, you see kind of cool and fun stuff along the way, this is going to be the place to be.
In Springfield, I'm Nikki Ogle.
We have details about those events and others on our news app and on our Facebook page, where viewers have posted more ideas and more events in the comments, so be sure and stay tuned to that.
This Halloween week, the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office is making house calls, checking to make sure all registered sex offenders are following the law. According to Missouri law, registered sex offenders are not allowed to participate in Halloween-related activities with kids. They must also remain inside their homes during trick-or-treat hours and post a sign stating they are not handing out candy. There are about 100 sex offenders registered in Pulaski County alone.
A top Missouri Democrat's calling for an investigation of the health director after he revealed the tracked menstrual periods of Planned Parenthood patients. Director Randall Williams testified today. He requested the information with the goal of identifying women who needed multiple procedures to complete an abortion. State House Minority Leader Crystal Quaid of Springfield says a review is needed to ensure patient privacy was not compromised. Today's hearing was held to determine if Missouri's only abortion clinic can keep its license. The state says the biggest concern with the clinic is a number of failed abortions.
While there's been this false narrative propagated that this was a top-down initiative, everything, almost all of this that brings us here today started with the patient one. Multiple investigations were launched, all from patient one.
He should be able to evaluate the systems that are in place. That Planned Parenthood is constantly looking at their policies and procedures, and yet he can't and continues to dwell on a few cases, ignoring the overall safety record.
That hearing is expected to last until Friday. The clinic will stay open until the ruling, which will not come any sooner than February.
In just 1 week, voters will head to the polls. In Springfield, they'll decide on whether or not to keep paying a tax to fund pensions for police and firefighters. Francis Watson is here tonight on why it's on the ballot now for a third time.
And voters first approved a 3/4 cent sales tax 10 years ago. It was renewed again 5 years later. So far, nearly 80% of the fund needed has been paid to our officers and firefighters fund for their retirement. That's been covered. City leaders say, though, they need to get the pension funded to 100% to cover the estimated payouts. That means this measure will be on your ballot for a third time.
We don't pay into Social Security and we don't have access to Social Security. So this is our retirement. Unless they're outside of investments, this is it.
Springfield Police Fire Pension Fund was established back in 1946. Its purpose, to take care of our officers and firefighters when they retire.
There is a very real impact anytime that you have an unfunded liability, a pension obligation, that the city has to account for.
The fund almost ran out of money nearly 10 years ago. The city asked voters for help, and the 3/4 cent sales tax increase was created. Once again, voters are being asked to pay 75% of a penny for every dollar they spend to put millions back into the retirement fund.
There's a 5-year sunset on it by state statute, and so that's why it is back now for the third time.
Fully funding the plan at 100% will cover retirement benefits for hundreds of first responders.
Should the tax not pass, if voters choose not to approve, then we have to make some hard decisions.
This includes trimming Springfield's yearly budget, which could mean cutting services.
We're making good progress. Not there yet, but we want to continue to make that progress.
Voters are smart. We have a very engaged community, and because of that, when they come to the polls, they are generally well informed.
Springfield's general fund could take a hit to cover the cost the city is obligated to pay.
Well, this is about staying true to the commitment that we as a community made to our police officers and our firefighters.
If nothing else is remembered, it's important to know that this is the continuation of an existing tax.
Now, by state statute, this tax will continue to be on the ballot every 5 years or until the pension plan is fully funded. If renewed, officials expect it to reach their goal this time around, which means this could be the last time voters see this measure. To learn more, head to our homepage. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll click on the link here that says sample ballots, and you can check out all the information for your county before heading to the polls.
All right, thanks, Francis. A Springfield business accused of refusing service to some members of the community.
How it's combating the rumors it says are false.
Number 1 in the Ozarks. You're watching KY3 News at 9 on the Ozarks CW with Lisa Rose, Ethan Forhetz. First Alert Weather with meteorologist Ron Hurst.